Solon.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP benefits?
So recipients missed their SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down. And they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program. And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying to dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest, and so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have the judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do, to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate and it's unconstitutional, and we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours President Trump, the government is going to be reopened, and SNAP recipients are going to receive their full benefits, which is what President Trump has always wanted to do. Stephen.
Today on 45th Perspective, we're diving into something that has been all over the news, debated on every network, and often twisted depending on who's doing the talking. The title of today's video is Breaking Down the Government Shutdown SNAP Debate, what it really means and my honest opinion. And I want to walk you through what actually happened, what the claims are, what the facts show, and what I personally think as a right-winged patriot who believes in accountability, limited government, and truth over spin. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and support our work because it helps us keep bringing you real conversations without the noise. Let's get started. So this story starts with the recent government shutdown, and like every shutdown in history, the political blame game kicked off immediately. One side points fingers at the other, talking points get thrown around, and the average American is left trying to piece together what's true. In the middle of this particular shutdown, the issue of SNAP benefits, food stamps, became a major flashpoint. People began hearing that some SNAP recipients missed their benefits, and almost instantly, the narrative turned into the administration is starving people. The administration is blocking food assistance. Or, the administration refuses to help low-income families. That's the version a lot of people heard, especially from media outlets that thrive off outrage. But here's what actually happened. According to the administration, the reason some SNAP recipients missed their benefits was because the Democrats shut down the government. Once the shutdown began, the administration had to rely on a contingency fund, basically an emergency pot of money set aside to keep essential programs running for as long as possible. The challenge was that this contingency fund didn't have enough money to cover the entire duration of the shutdown or the full amount of benefits for every SNAP recipient nationwide. That's not a political talking point. That's simply how federal funding mechanisms work. If Congress doesn't approve new money, the executive branch cannot magically create it. Now, here's where things escalated. A federal judge stepped into the situation and essentially tried to order the administration to take money from what's known as the Children's Nutrition Fund to cover additional SNAP payments. The administration saw this as judicial overreach. In plain language, the judge was trying to tell the executive branch which bank account it had to pull money from. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or somewhere in between, you should understand why that matters. The Constitution separates powers for a reason. Judges interpret laws. They're not supposed to direct federal budgeting decisions. That's Congress's job, and the executive branch carries them out. The administration pushed back, not because they didn't want people to get SNAP benefits, but because being forced to take money from one specific fund, especially a fund designed for children's nutritional programs, creates long-term budget distortions. That's not just a moral concern, it's a legal one. Redirecting funds in the wrong way can break laws, violate federal guidelines, and create ripple effects that hurt families later on. The administration argued that the judge's decision was unconstitutional and inappropriate, and according to them, that argument ended up being legally validated. The courts reversed the overreach, which is significant because it reaffirms that we don't operate based on one person's feelings or political pressure. We operate based on the separation of powers at the same time. Republicans worked to negotiate the reopening of the government, and with President Trump preparing to sign the agreement, the government was set to reopen within hours. Once the government reopened, the full flow of SNAP benefits was restored. That's the part that a lot of mainstream outlets left out. the fact that the delay was caused by the shutdown itself, and the fact that government funding was frozen until Congress and the administration reached a deal. The administration consistently maintained that they wanted to provide full benefits and that the shutdown, driven by political standoffs, was what created the disruption. Whether people agree or not, that's the sequence of events.
Stephen.
Why also did you need the judicial process for that? I mean, during this shutdown, didn't the administration have a responsibility to tap into any of those reserves to ensure that essentially
We did.
people could rely on?
We did tap into it. We did tap into the contingency fund. And then the judge told us, no, you have to get more money from a children's nutrition fund. And we felt that was judicial overreach. You shouldn't tell the president which fund he has to rob because the Democrats are holding the country hostage by shutting down the federal government.
Now let's break down the political and constitutional significance of all this, because it goes much deeper than food stamps. This situation illustrates how quickly political battles impact everyday Americans. It also shows how narratives can be shaped based on emotion instead of fact. When one side says people lost benefits because the administration didn't care, and the other side says benefits were delayed because Congress shut the government down, both sides are packaging the story to fit their version of events. As a right-winged patriot, I look at the chain of responsibility. The Constitution is clear. Congress controls spending. When Congress fails to act, agencies run out of money. When agencies run out of money, programs slow down. The executive branch did what it could, use the contingency fund, but once that was depleted, there were only two options: wait for Congress or pull money from an unrelated program, which would have created legal and ethical issues. Judicial intervention made the situation even more complicated. A judge may have good intentions, but intention isn't authority. The bench cannot dictate executive actions on spending. If that were allowed, we wouldn't have a constitutional structure. We'd have a system where judges become shadow policymakers. That's not American governance. That's power creep. Another important part of the story is how the administration emphasized that they never intended to cut or limit SNAP. Despite what opponents might say, the administration actually made it clear that their goal was to restore full benefits once the government reopened. And that's exactly what happened. This matters because for years, people have heard that conservatives want to end welfare or take away food from families. And while there are real debates about welfare reform and efficiency, debates we absolutely should have, the idea that Republicans want people to suffer is simply not grounded in fact. What Republicans often argue for is accountability, smaller government, and responsible spending, not the elimination of help for families who need it. When we look at the shutdown and the SNAP debate, we're really looking at a deeper issue: how political games affect people's lives and how truth gets lost when media narratives take over. A lot of people who rely on SNAP were caught in the middle of something they didn't cause. That's the unfortunate reality of government shutdowns. But the responsibility lies with Washington dysfunction, not with the executive branch making unlawful or careless decisions. So here's my honest opinion. I believe the administration acted appropriately in resisting judicial overreach. I believe the shutdown was avoidable and driven by political brinksmanship. I believe the narrative that the administration wanted to starve families was dishonest and irresponsible. And I believe Congress should stop using the livelihoods of Americans as bargaining chips. Whether you support Trump or not, whether you're conservative or moderate or just trying to make sense of the news, it's important to look at the chain of cause and effect. The shutdown caused the funding freeze. The contingency fund delayed the worst of it, but could not sustain the entire program. A judge tried to force the administration to redirect funds in a way that violated separation of powers. The administration fought it. Republicans negotiated a reopening. Benefits were restored. That's the full picture, not the edited version. And that's why on this channel, 45th Perspective, I believe in breaking down these stories in a way that respects your intelligence. You deserve the truth, not the spin. You deserve context, not sound bites. And you deserve a conversation that treats politics like the serious topic it is, not a performance. I want to remind you that staying informed, staying engaged, and staying grounded in facts is how we keep this country strong. Patriotism isn't blind loyalty. It's the willingness to demand honesty, accountability, and constitutional respect from the people in power. Thank you for watching today's deep dive into breaking down the government shutdown SNAP debate. what it really means, and my honest opinion. If you found this informative, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to 45th Perspective, and share this video so more people can get a clear understanding of what really happened. Your support means everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying informed, and I'll see you in the next one.